I want to talk a little bit about like, just embracing life as a battle. It's not really about that, but the weight, the battle, the process that we go through. Life is a battle. So make sure you guys are seeing your life as a war. If you see your life as just strolling in the park, it's going to be very difficult, right? Life is a war because it's a war in your mind and it's a war against failing in life, hunger, homelessness. Because if you don't do the work, that's going to happen, right? Yeah, you can choose not to work. It's okay. You can choose not to work, but you also has to be okay with not having a house to live in. You can choose not to work. Just choose not to, be okay with not being full all the time. Be okay with being hungry. So life is a battle every single day. So accept that, and the sooner you accept that, the better. And every one of us carries some form of weight, and I really want to talk about embracing the weight that we carry every single day. Life often give us burden we don't ask for. Challenges, hurdles we did not choose, and responsibilities we cannot run away from. Right? I have 2 kids. I can't run away from that. Well, I guess I could choose to run away, but then I'm sure some part of me will feel like a sense of guilt, a sense of shame for running away. And some people do run away. And so, life give us responsibilities. Like, for my parents, I don't want to just throw them away and be like, hey, go take care of yourself, because, they're my parents. They're the only people I have. They're there to support you and take care of you. And I'm sure there's parents out there that are just terrible parents, but there's responsibilities that we cannot run away from at this moment. And I want to just share some thoughts on, some of the weights that we carry on our shoulders, and hopefully that give us an easier way to carry them, and just give us some courage to know that we're not the only one carrying this weight. And everybody carry different weights, right? We have different circumstances, we have different streams, different struggles, but learning to embrace that weight helps us not get crushed by it. Because you ever met someone who get crushed by weights, the weight of their life? They tend to commit suicide, go into depression. Their life is a standstill and crushed by it. But then there's those that are just strengthened by it. They get stronger because they embrace the weight. They're like, okay, we talk about turning struggles into challenges. That's us embracing the weight. So I remember when I was a kid, I was in middle school, and in my middle school, there's a football team in America. There's a lot of, football team starting from like elementary school all the way to middle school and high school and college. Everybody's about football. So, you have kids working out so young because the parents put them into football. And when I was young, I was a weak, scrawny kid. I wasn't very strong. I was not confident, and I wanted to be confident. And I walked into the weight room one day, and I saw a bunch of kids working out. I mean, it was my first time when I got into middle school that I ever considered jumping in the weight room, because I saw these kids. They were strong. They were bigger than me. They were lifting weights. I mean, they were yelling at each other, when they were squatting, pounding these heavy weights. And so I went in, I saw the bench press machine, and I was like, I'm going to give it a try. Because why? I'm enticed by this, right? I'm enticed by this feeling that these people were giving out, these kids. They were stronger, bigger, more confident. So I went to I laid there. So I racked the weight. There's a bar, and I put, if you guys ever did a bench press, it's like a lifting motion, right? You just lift it off the bar. I put, 10 on each side. So 10 pounds on each side. It was not that much weight. And my scrawny self laid down on the bench press machine. I lift off the weight. And right when I lifted off, I felt how heavy this thing was. And as I lower it, it kept lowering and lowering. And then it just stayed at my neck, and I couldn't pick it back up. Someday I'm struggling. I'm like, man, I think I'm going to die. Right? For a good 30 minutes, I'm like, oh shit. Like, am I going to die? Because this weight is on my neck. And I'm like kicking and kicking and kicking. And I'm like trying to move this thing around. I made the amateur mistakes of using the brackets to clip both of the weights on, so the weights can't fall off. So it's stuck on there. You can't wiggle your way around it so the weight doesn't fall off. And finally, a bunch of the kids saw me, seeing this weight on my neck. And that's the worst way to die. I don't want to be that kid that died from, a weight crushing your neck, right? A bar crushing your neck at the gym. And they run over, they help me lift it up. And, I felt embarrassed, kind of humiliated. I didn't think about being humbled at the time because I was too young to know what humbling mean. I just felt embarrassed. I wanted to run out of there. I wanted to cry. But the kids, they were like, man, hey, dude, you need to, do a little lighter, but don't put any weights on the bar. And hey, ask one of us to help you, because they're so used to working out. And the coach was there, reminding them like, hey, make sure you're watching each other's, because sometimes the weights can hurt you. So just watch out for each other. And so they add, they're like, hey, I'll just ask someone to be a spotter for you if it's your first time. And so, that's the kind of weight we carry every day. Like this weights that we're lifting, right? Like me going to the gym, lifting weight is like making me stronger, like building that muscle, right? All of us, we have some weight in our life, and every day we carry this weight. It's either hurting us, crushing us, or making us stronger. And just imagine it's the same weights that you see in the gym, right? For you to build up that muscle, you have to go train every single day. You have to practice every day. The weight of responsibility, commitment, obligations, the weights to achieve your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. There's so many. And man, sometimes it looks very, very heavy, right? Sometimes you're like, can I really do this? Like, I don't know how big your dream lists are, but mine is pretty big. I got like 20 something right now, like 20 something green dreams right now. It's like, I dream to be the best pickleball player. Like, why not, right? Because I like playing pickleball. So I'm like, that's a dream right there. Let's just be pretty good at it by the time I'm like 60. That's a dream. Who cares? But I also dream about, flying private for the rest of my life. That's amazing. I would love that. Why? I just don't want to be stuck in, a TSA checkpoint line. Like if you guys ever fly private, what you do is you just, they call you, you drive up to the plane. There's no check-in or nothing. You just roll your bag up, they pack it up, you just go and you sit, and then they fly you out. It's a convenient thing. And that's one of my dreams. My dream to own a skyscraper. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this, but that's one of my dreams, 100-story skyscraper. Like I've seen a skyscraper, a 15-story skyscraper. It costs $1 million, but it requires $10 million to fix in the middle of nowhere. I don't recommend buying a skyscraper in the middle of nowhere where nobody cared to have an office inside a skyscraper. But I've looked just to see how much it costs. So your dream list could be very big, but it could be very heavy, but that's okay. I recommend, if you don't have your dream list of the things that you want, I suggest making a list of it. Because like when I was young, when I was about 19 years old, when I started doing the personal development, the personal growth, I wrote down on a sheet of paper. There was a little notebook that I wrote everything that I wanted. I wrote down I wanted to own my own business. I wrote down I wanted to be a millionaire. I did that. I don't know why. I was just convinced to do that through reading books like Think and Grow Rich. You have to turn your dreams from your thoughts into paper. And when you write it down, you can visually see it. And eventually it happened. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but it happens. So write down as many goals and dreams that you have. If you dream of having a family with like 2-3 kids, write that down, because you don't know when or how it will happen. For me, I believe God made it happen for me. I did pray. I prayed to God. I was like, hey, please make this happen for me. I want this. Why? Because I wanted to take care of my parents. And eventually it did happen. I just didn't know how it was going to happen or when it was going to happen. But I believe that it did happen because I prayed and I put in the work for it. Abraham Lincoln says this: you cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. And so we got to embrace the weight that we have, right? And the weight of responsibility is like the price of freedom, right? So how come there are people that are able to carry more weight and responsibility than others, right? Some people cannot. For some reason, some people are just so overwhelmed by it. some people are just so crushed by it. Why is why are some better than others? And today, I guess we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about some of the things that you need in your life to help you carry the weight, embrace that weight. For me, I think the number one thing is to have a spotter or a helper, right? A friend, someone close to you, or someone in this community. You got to have a spotter, like the guy who spotted me on my weightlifting journey, right? To help me lift that weight when it's too heavy, because you can't do it alone. I went to, so I was in a personal mastermind event that was like, I don't know, like 30 grand a year or something. And in there, they brought the speaker, Benjamin Hardy. He wrote Willpower is Not Enough. So one of the things that he said to us when he was sharing was, so this Benjamin Hardy, he grew up in a very abusive family. His father was an alcoholic, single parents. And of course, I'm sure the father went through a lot of struggles, and the weight of this responsibility was crushing him. So it was him and his brother. And, you know, when he was growing up, he was getting beat up. His dad get angry when he gets drunk, get beat up, abused. And he wasn't sure how he was going to get out of this life. And in that moment of, like, you know, weakness, struggle for him, that's the struggle in his position. He said that one of the principal at his school told him that, you know, I see you and I'm here for you. And that was all he needed. Like, he just needed somebody to be a witness for his pain. And that's how he was able to climb out of that situation and become, you know, a best-selling author, writing books about how to, you know, overcome willpower, right? Get a PhD and write books to help other people overcome challenges in their life. And so for you, you need someone in your life that can help you with that. You need a spotter, you need a helper, you need a friend. You need someone who actually cheer for you when you win. You need someone who, you know, console you when you are down. Like, if you don't have any of those friends in your life, you need one. Man, reach out to your mom or something. I don't know if your mom is the right person to reach out to. She might not be the best person. She's gonna be like, oh, you're a failure, that's why you suck, right? So don't, if that's the kind of mom you got, don't reach out to her, but make sure you reach out to someone and form that relationship, because you're not doing it alone. And that's why we have this community too, is so that you guys can reach out to one another, because you guys are in the same journey. Because the weight of commitment is hard, right? It's not easy to say that, hey, I want to build this business. I want to, you know, be successful. I want to, you know, win life. I want to be a millionaire. Not too many people can handle that kind of responsibility or that kind of commitment. I want to make my life better. I want to help others, you know, lives better. That's a big responsibility. And what does that require? That requires you to wake up, do things that are uncomfortable. And so when you have someone challenge you to help you along the way, to help you when you are down, to help you celebrate when you're winning, you know, to remind you like, hey, you know, you're not alone in this journey. And I think that's what a lot of people fail to understand, is that when you're alone in a journey, like you end up losing. There's a higher chance for you to lose, for you to quit, for you to give up. So the weight will crush you because you're doing it alone. And that's what, and especially for men, like I know this because I grew up, you know, saying that I don't need anybody's help. I don't need anybody's advice. You know, I can figure it out on my own. And then when my life screwed up, you know, when I started making bad decisions is when, you know, I'm like, oh shoot, okay, I should have, you know, asked somebody for help, or should have asked this, I should ask this person if this was a great idea. I should have listened to this guy, you know, I shouldn't be selling drugs on the side of the street, right? That was a bad decision for me. You know, I used to, so I wanted to make money. A friend asked me, did I want, you know, if I wanted to go sell drugs? I'm like, sure, why not? I thought it was a great idea, you know, because it was quick money. I wasn't selling any hardcore drugs because I don't believe in the hard stuff at the time, but I ended up selling cannabis. And that's when cannabis was illegal in Louisiana. It's still illegal in Louisiana, so don't do it. I don't recommend anyone selling drugs because I couldn't sleep at night when I was selling drugs. But I was in college and, you know, I met a friend. He introduced me to selling drugs. We were just passing it to a bunch of little guys to deal for us. And that was the plan because I didn't want to be directly contact with the buyers. And I was in college, so there was a bunch of fraternity kids that did it for me. And so I made good money. But then there was a close call where I almost got thrown in jail. Well, I almost got caught. My friend called me, he was like, hey, don't pick up the phone. Don't say anything. If they ask you questions, don't do anything. I'm like, okay, that's not good news. So we end up just throwing everything away, lost thousands of dollars. It was a bad idea, right? I dumped everything in the toilet, burned it, did whatever I had, got rid of it. He called me like at 1 a.m. telling me this, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want my parents to find out that I'm a felon in jail. So it was a horrible experience. Like, you want to do things that you can sleep at night. But if I had the right people, the right person to tell me that was a bad idea, I wouldn't have made that mistake. So just remember, you got to have a strong support system. So you need a strong support system. You got to have somebody that willing to help you, that want to help you and lift you up. So find someone around you that's that person and lean into them. And, that's probably the most important thing out of all of this. The second thing I believe is important is perspective. If you're always stuck in your own narrow-mindedness, I don't even know that's a word, narrow-mindedness. I just made that up, sorry. But if you're stuck in being narrow-minded all the time, you're going to be clouded by your own mind, right? Perspective is being able to see in somebody else's eyes. You have to climb up by learning, by hearing different stories, by seeing life a little differently from someone else's perspective, how they live their life, how they go through their struggle, for you to be able to apply that into your life, to have perspective in your own life, right? If your life has been very comfortable, a lot of people life that I've met are very comfortable. And then they're like, man, this is so hard. Like, I can't wake up at 5 or 4 a.m. in the morning every day. It's so hard. But then that's because they're so used to the comfort that it's hard for them to be uncomfortable. They never try to do it or never been pushed to an uncomfortable situation. That's why they're so afraid. There's people who lives are controlled by their parents since young. Their parents overprotect them and did everything for them, made decisions for them. And then when they go into the real world, they're like, what happened? Like, why can't I make decisions? Why is life so hard? Like, dude, life is hard. Like, I tell my kids every day, life is hard. Get ready for it. Like, I'm preparing you. Life is hard. Like, I let them know life is hard. Why? Because life is hard. But I can make you stronger. I can make you harder inside so that life isn't that hard. Have you met someone who's so hard inside that, man, nothing phases them? Like, dude, like, mom died, doesn't matter. Cancer, doesn't matter. Keep fighting. I met Hal Elrod in a mastermind event. And this guy, man, dude, if you follow Hal Elrod, like Morning Miracle, that book, this guy is amazing. Like, he got to a head-on collision and he was pretty much going to die. The doctor was like, yeah, you might not make it. And because he trained his mindset, and he was probably only like 20 something at the time, he was like, okay, I'm going to shift this perspective. Okay, I'm already in a wheelchair. Let's just take it as it is. And just like, why not just hope for the best? And then after he got onto a head-on collision, recover, build a new business, start helping people, he got cancer. And the man was going through cancer and is about to die. And he has it all documented on social media of watching him, going through chemo and things like that. And so his conclusion was like, I'm going to die anyway. Why die miserable? Right? Having a strong perspective like that. Life is already hard. Why make it miserable? Like, let's just see the best out of everything, because why? There's no point in being negative. It's already hard. I don't have food on the table, but let's just imagine that there's some food here and let's get by for the next day, right? Hopefully nobody on this call today are struggling with food in their belly, right? If you're struggling with food in your belly, that means you're not working. That's the truth of it. I believe that no matter what happened, if you're willing to do the work, your belly will never go hungry. You will always able to survive. And we're not talking about survival here. We're talking about thriving. All right. From survival to thrive, thriving is different, right? You got to be able to work hard, work constantly, be okay with the work, embrace the weight that you have, the responsibility that you have. Once you embrace that, you don't run away, you face it head on. You don't do things to escape it. You don't go numb out on Netflix. You don't go drink to numb out the responsibilities that you have. You sit in the problem and you figure out how to solve it. And I think that's one thing about perspective, is that you got to start changing the way you think about the struggle that you have and see how you can solve it, right? Because sometimes we allow all of these responsibilities to take over our life. The other day I was talking to one of the mentee, the students, and he was just overwhelmed with the commitment that he made, because he wanted to have a six-pack. I'm assuming he wanted to have a six-pack because he was prioritizing health. He wanted to build an Amazon business. He wanted to make a lot of money. He wanted to do this, do that. I was like, man, you got too many perspective, brother. Like, that's the reason why you're feeling crushed, you're feeling burnt out by this. Focus on one priorities at a time. Why? Because there's seasons in your life to do different things, right? For me, right now is a season of growing this business and growing the impact that we make in everyone's life. So I just focus on this right now. I'm not focused on a six-pack, because there's a season where, hey, let's just focus on a six-pack. But we're talking about health, right? To be healthy, just exercise 30 minutes a day. Do it at home. Go join the Seafood Fit with Tim. He works out at home. He does 1,000 push-ups a week. I'm not doing 1,000 push-ups a week. That's not my goal. That's his goal, right? That's his thing that he wants to do for the rest of his life, 1,000 push-ups a week or a day sometime. And that doesn't make sense to me. It's not my goal, though. It's not my commitment. But he's inspiring others that, okay, you can do 1,000 push-ups if you're willing to put your mind into it. But that's not where I am. And that shouldn't be where you are. Decide what season in your life you're in. And everything else is second priority, right? If you have family, your family, of course, is supposed to be number one. For me, God, my wife, and then my business, right? So God first. So I do something related to, studying the Bible, reading, praying, whatever. Those are God first. And then my wife. How do I take care of my wife? Meet her needs. If you got a husband, how do you take care of your husband's need? Things like that. Put him first or her first. And then last, your business. And those are my priorities, right? I don't want to do too much. Like, oh, hey, I want to, I want a six-pack. There's no reason for a six-pack. That's not really a healthy lifestyle. Getting a six-pack is not a healthy lifestyle, because you're dieting, you're watching your calories. It's very detailed. And so focus on your priorities, because when you're overwhelmed by the weight of all these commitment that you made to yourself, and when you don't keep the commitment, you feel down, you feel like a failure, you feel like you suck, you feel like you failed. And so when you set yourself up to fail, guess what happens? It becomes a cycle and it repeats itself, right? And when it repeats itself every single day, every single week, now you're in a mindset of negativity. And when you're in a mindset of negativity, it's hard for you to move forward. It's hard for you to get to push through the weight. It's hard for you to push through this crushing heaviness that you have. So reflect on the weight, the commitments that you made for yourself. Is it really needed at this moment? So we have different seasons in our life, okay? And they talk about seasons all the time. Like, Jim Rohn talks about seasons. The Bible talks about seasons. And really, it just means what part of your life are you in, right? Sometimes you're at the good part of your life, right? Everything's great, man. Everything goes so smooth. Everything's amazing. Everything's good. There's no major hiccups. And then there's down season. So it's the funniest thing. I have a friend. He does, he buys NFTs when NFT was popping. Anyone know what NFTs are? They're these digital pictures online in the crypto space. You buy and then you sell them for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. You got like a bunch of these board yacht apes that he bought for like 20 grand, and now they're worth like 90 to 100 grand. Anyway, their family's doing good. He made a bunch of money in NFTs. And then this year, like the big bank, like Silicon Valley Bank crash. And guess what? Silicon Valley Bank messed around with a lot of those crypto guys. And so all the people money got stuck. Like for me, I got my money stuck in like BlockFi. If you guys aren't familiar with BlockFi, it's not important. But my money is stuck in BlockFi, a couple $100,000. So I'm not upset. Nothing else I can do. Why be upset anyway? But he's like, that's hitting me hard. And then his wife's mom has cancer, and she just passed away. And then I talked to him, and he's like, man, this year is going to be bad for me. And I'm like, dude, it's only like right now it's half the year. I spoke to him at the beginning of the year, right? And I'm like, dude, the year's not over. Why is it completely bad? But right now he's in that season of his life where there's so many struggles that comes up. But the years before that, dude, he was making millions of dollars in his business. His family was comfortable. So there's different seasons in your life where you prioritize different things. And right now he's prioritizing his family because of that passing within his own personal life, right? His mother-in-law has been fighting cancer for the last 5 years, and she finally, let go, like maybe a couple of weeks ago. And so it's like there's different seasons in your life. So prioritize one or two things in your life in this season. If this season is about building a business, focus on this season as building the business. If you want to have a good maintain good health, 30 minutes a day. Don't eat too many junk food. Like, eat a pizza once a week, eat an ice cream once a week. You'll be healthy, I promise. Just go 30-minute walk, 30-minute run. You're healthy. That's really it. You don't have to count calories. Don't have to get a six-pack because you're healthy. When you worry about these things, it makes your commitment heavier. It makes the weight of everything, of all your responsibility heavier. So prioritize in the specific season that you're in. So if it's business, you're trying to build a business, this is the season you're building a business, right? All right, then, so having perspective, let's get back to having perspective. I went kind of side tangent there on the seasons, but and you do have to change your environment too. Like, is your environment helping you change your perspective, or is it an environment that keeps you narrow-minded? And of course, when you shift your burden, your responsibility in your life instead of a burden and challenges, it can become a proof of your strength when you overcome them. So like you're testing your strength. So remember, having perspective of the weight that you're carrying is a test of your strength. You're strong enough to carry the weight. That's why you have these weights. If you didn't have these weight, that means you couldn't carry them, right? And God made you strong enough to carry all these responsibilities. I don't know which God you guys believe in. If you don't believe in a God, that's fine too. But God made you strong enough to handle the responsibility that you have today, because He knows that you're strong enough, right? And at the end, it's not how heavy the weight is, it's how you're carrying it. Like if you're carrying everything out at once, it's going to crush you. But if you have someone to help you carry it, it becomes lighter. If you drop some of the weight and be like, hey, I don't need to carry this right now. Like I don't need a high needy drama related girlfriend in my life right now. That's a way I don't need, or a high maintenance girlfriend that needs a luxury car every single week, or going out to eat in a fancy restaurant every week. I don't need that in my life right now, right? So you gotta pay attention to the people that you bring in, your environment, and also the weight that you're carrying. You might not need to carry some of these weights right now. All right. So the last thing is, I think this is very important. I always bring this up, is like, stop making it about you. When you make it about somebody else, it makes you stronger, right? And this is a thing that helped me overcome a lot of my challenges. Just thinking about serving my parents, like helping my parents out, because I didn't want to be a burden for them. Helping my family out, my in-laws out, my kids out, making sure I'm there to support them. It makes me stronger. That's why I can continue to do what I do. So I always remind you guys, like, who are you doing this in your life for? Who are you doing this for in your life? Like, what's the reason why you continue to move forward? How are you making it about them, about someone else and not you? And how are you making it about you right now? Like I met people who just about me, like what's good for me, not for them. And I mean, I see their life stuck, right? When I heard this somewhere, and it was like, when you make someone else's life better, your life will be better. And it makes sense to me a whole lot. It makes a whole lot of sense to me. If I can help everyone here in the community make their life better, my life will be better, because I'm reminded by the progress that everyone makes. And I'm reminded every day how grateful I am to be here to share the things that I know to help you guys make progress, because I make progress as well. The last thing is, stop comparing your journey with other people. Everybody has different circumstances, different part of their life, different journey in their life. So stop comparing how fast you're moving against somebody else. It's just gonna make you upset. It's just gonna make you pissed off. It's gonna make you frustrated. And all those feelings would then turn into negative feelings, like I'm not good enough, that's why I didn't make it. I'm not good enough, that's why I didn't complete it. I'm lazy, that's why I'm not doing the work I need to work, that and I need to do. So stop comparing your journey to someone else. Who does that? I do that sometimes. I'm like, why am I not there? Why am I not teaching like 10,000 people right now? Right? Right? But then I forget that Tony Robbins took 30 years to be where he is today, 30, 40 years, to be in front of thousands of people. I'm not willing to see the journey that he went through, the process that he went through, right? When you're not willing to go through that process, you're never going to get there. And all you focus on is the end result. Social media is probably the number one factor that causes people to, get frustrated and fall into negative talk, and a lot of self-doubt, fear, anger, envy, jealousy. Like those things you got to cut out of your life. Social media does that very well, because it paints the picture of the end result. It celebrates the end result, not the process. Like, who's here taking a picture of themselves every single day, sitting on a computer with a head down and just typing? Like, who's giving likes to that? Nobody. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, when I was working, I didn't have social media. So social media wasn't big. Facebook didn't exist. It was just a college platform where, college kids were connecting with each other. And so we didn't have Instagram, social media, TikTok, YouTube, where people were just sharing their life about what they did. It was not a thing. And so I'm not saying don't look at people's life as, jealousy, right? Or envy. Look at their life as inspiration for your own possibility, right? Because we all have possibility. It's not that you're not smarter than anybody else. We all get sick. We all go to the bathroom we all do the same thing. We all were given the same opportunity, the same breath, the same life, the same earth. So you have the opportunity to do the impossible, like everybody else who have achieved anything, as long as you're willing to pay the price, willing to do the work. And so I would not recommend you focusing, comparing your life and focusing on how this person made it and you didn't. Right? You got to stop doing that. So stop comparing your journey. You have to understand that you're on your own journey, and also that you need to be grateful for where you are, grateful for where you came from, grateful for what you have done, grateful for how far you've been, how far you came, because that's what's reminding you that, okay, I am happy with my life as well. I want more, but I'm happy with what I've done so far. And I'm just going to keep going because I did it. I made it this far. I survived, right? We're born winners, remember? We're all born winners, right? The egg chose these little sperms and only one made it through. You were born a winner. You beat hundreds of thousands of them. You could have been in the toilet or in the garbage can or in a piece of napkin. You made it. So we all made it. We're winners. So remember, you started off winning. Someone else told you that you weren't a winner. That's why you think this way. So be grateful for your life. Be grateful for where you came from. Stop comparing your life to someone else. And of course, celebrate your little successes that you have so far. And the last thing I want to remind you guys to embrace the process. Right? The process is probably the only thing that's the most important in everything that we do. Confucius says the man who moves a mountain began by carrying away small stones. That's what we're doing. We're carrying away the little stones of the mountain that we're trying to climb. If it's starting a new business, Amazon business, being more financially free, creating more wealth in your family, raising children is a mountain for me right now, right? Sometimes my kids, man, they drive me crazy. Like I just want to beat them, but I can't because that's what my parents did to me and I turn out all right. But I'm a little messed up in the head sometimes too. But I don't want to create trauma in their life by beating them. So it's a mountain for me. I remember the first time when I went to the state office in Louisiana when we started off on Amazon business. We needed to set up an LLC, right? Dude, I had no idea what I needed to do. Google wasn't that advanced at the time. They were like, yeah, just go to this office and ask questions. And, I found the address. I went there. I was a 20-year-old college student with no experience. So, I got there and I was lost. The only thing I could do was just asking people for help, right? But thanks for my ability of communication, I was able to ask these people like, hey, what do I do? How do I set up an LLC? How do I, file paperwork for this? How do I do that? And, just remembering how far I've came from not knowing anything, from struggling to open up an LLC compared to you guys where I was like, okay, here, this is what you do. Go to LegalZoom, type in your info, tell them the name you want. They chug it back to you. Here you got an LLC. I didn't have that convenience. LegalZoom did not exist, but, I trusted God and God found a way. I was just willing to go out there and do the work. Like I went to the office and I asked questions. That's doing the work. You don't know something, you go out and you ask questions. You don't know something, you go do research. You don't know something, you ask, and you will find an answer, right? And we all have our special abilities. We all have special gifts in our life. So make sure that you rely on that gift, right? Use that gift that you have. Now, the process is laborious or boring, repetitive, and can be tedious sometimes. And I understand that. The process is actually very boring and tedious. It's laborious. But the same laborious work creates discipline, and discipline will lead you to progress. The process is internal and it's not seen. So people are not looking at you when you're working. Nobody will know and nobody will ask. Nobody's going to celebrate you for, hey, I showed up today and sat in front of my computer and just did product research. Nobody's celebrating you for doing that. The progress, however, is external and affect everyone around you, right? When you show progress, there's an energy about it. Like, oh man, I found something. You share with your friends, you share with the community, you share, you laugh, you talk, you get excited because you made some progress, right? But today I want to remind everyone, we need to celebrate the process. There was a Greek writer. He wrote, without labor, nothing prosper. And what that means to me is like, you have a tree, if you don't water it, it's not going to grow. And so the act of watering in itself is the process of work, right? That's the work that's required. And so without labor, nothing will prosper. And so the process needs to be celebrated, honestly. I want to change the process of everyday work, the things that we're doing, and celebrate it instead of always celebrating the end result, the destination, like, oh man, I made it. I'm here, right? I won. But the process is really what's matter, because now I get to think back about what I've learned and all the things I've done. Like, I'm like, dude, I can't believe I went through all of that and I made it out surviving, right? And, there's no opportunities when you don't put yourself out there, when you're not putting yourself in the path of opportunities or luck. When you don't do the work, there will be no learning or progress or results. Now, hard work. So this is from Tim Noki. He mentioned that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. right? You can have all the talent in the world, but you don't put in the work to cultivate it, or you don't do the work, you're not going to beat anyone who's putting in the work. So let me ask you today, did you show up today? Did you finish the one thing you need to get done? Did you keep your word? Did you follow through? Learn to enjoy the work and the progress that you make each day, because that's where the real satisfaction will be. And Gandhi says satisfaction lies in the effort, not in the intent, not in the attainment. Full effort is full victory. So, for me, let's celebrate the process and the work that you guys are putting in every day. How do we celebrate that? For me, is, if I committed to 30 minutes of product research, an hour of product research every single day, Monday through Friday, that's the celebration right there. If you committed to product research Saturday and Sunday for an hour each or 2 hours each, every Saturday and Sunday, you should celebrate that. Write it down on a chart. I would have a chart in front of my office, right, in front of my screen, and just check off the days that you did this thing that you committed to, right? Did I show up at 5 a.m. today? You check off, oh, I showed up Monday motivation. That should be a number one check off on the list, right? If you show up on Monday, that means you already started your day right, because you're surrounding yourself with the right people to help you think differently. Like taking on the challenges, doing the work is something that we embrace. Like bring it on. Like for me, every day, bring it on. Bring me the next uncertainty in my life. Bring it on. Because why? I'm going to keep fighting, because I have the power. God gave me the power, the strength to do it. And so do you. You have the same strength, same power, same ability to fight that battle. Embrace the wait, embrace the process, embrace the battle at hand.